The man, the myth, the legend,
Yo,
the takeover
what up?
king, out of the shadows, into the light, Marcus McGhee. And you guys, we're on the Wreckless podcast. Here with Terrence McKinney and Noah Lansky. Let's just get right into it. We know this is a busy man, hardworking, family guy. Let's get it.
I just want to first start off with your name, McGhee. Is it Celtic, like Irish or Scottish?
Man, I don't know. I don't know, man, because everyone always says I'm mixed, but I'm black. My family's all black, African American, and we just happen to be McGee's. So I know that we got Irish in there, or Swedish, I know it's somewhere, but I gotta get a 21 and me or 23 and me, something like that done.
So I was also going to ask, how did you get your nickname, the Maniac, too?
Oh, so honestly, I was doing tattoos at the time, and my buddy, they're trying to figure out what he was. Lady Killer. There was a couple other guys that had their own nicknames and stuff, D Gunna and all these other people, and I never really had a nickname except for Dirty Red that they named me from Detroit, and I just always hated that name for some reason. And they threw out the Maniac because I was always scrapping guys, and I was always a little bit willing. I was always cool, but I was always like once my fuse lit, it was easy to get me going. So they were like, yeah, the Maniac. And honestly, they thought that I liked it because the Maniac sounded like a hard name. Like, oh, yeah, that's hard. But my favorite book growing up was Maniac McGee. And my life kind of played out a lot like the Maniac McGee. So for me, that was like, yep, Maniac McGee, that's what we're going with.
All right, and now I want to ask you because a lot of people that be starting MMA or like they're in that process where they're starting to get good and like they're with such high level people and stuff. What kept you positive during that training? Seeing all those guys succeed, you're like, dang, when my time's gonna come? What helped you stay in the right spirit? Just knowing your time would eventually come.
Honestly, it wasn't even knowing that my time would come. I just chose to take an attitude of gratitude, earlier on. And honestly, for me, what was the biggest thing is I was just noticing such a change in the person I was becoming through doing the things that I was doing. And that was what was so captivating to me. I was becoming more intentional. I was becoming more intelligent, more respectful, more humble, like all the things that were just being built inside of me that were translating into the rest of my life through training and through being diligent in what I was doing in mixed martial arts was just opening my heart so much more. So for me, that's what it was. It was like, man, I could just see that. I could just see the fruits of my labor being expressed in so many different aspects. So that even if I never made it, or even if I wasn't going to make it, I was always like, man, the person I'm going to become is going to be so much greater than that person I am, anyways. That it was worth it.
You only had five amateur fights between 2012 and 2018. Was that due to injuries? I remember like hearing, I think on a broadcast a few fights ago, you had a car accident and then a snowboarding accident like right after each other.
Yeah, so those definitely did play a part. There was 3 years of that, about 3.5 years where I didn't fight at all. I was completely inactivity, and the accidents played a big part in it. And then me just being dumb, being out in the world, doing too much, chasing women, doing everything I shouldn't have been doing, played a big part in it to it too. But honestly, I had a bunch of unsanctioned fights, so people forget about those fights. I had a ton of unsanctioned fights. So those ones don't get put on your record. But I was taking a bunch of those unsanctioned fights, and then finally, I think I took something like before I even had my first real amateur fight, I had like six unsanctioned fights first, and then had my first real amateur fight that was sanctioned by the state commission. So yeah, it's pretty funny how that all worked out.
He was in the hood fighting Olympics. He's like, I'm gonna make it, man. It's time to grind. He was like me back in the day.
Like, give me that,
Anytime I went to
give
a
me that
fight
fake
card,
belt. I want
he's like, give me
it. What
that
was
fake
that?
belt. I said, anytime, like when I was amateur, I'll do the same thing. If a fight fell out, I was like, you know what? I had a couple of shots. I was like, I'll fight that guy. Let me give this
Straight
a
up,
try.
bro. At random bars, parking lot bars. We actually had the viewing. I had a viewing party here for this fight at this bar called Tosos out here. They just got new owners. But it's so funny because I had my second fight, but that wasn't a fight. It was a unsanctioned fight in their bar parking lot in a cage. So and then they just hosted my showing party for the UFC. So it was like a full little run around.
Yeah, full circle. That's cool.
You turned pro in 2020, and 11 fights later, you were ranked number 14 in the bantamweight division. This has been one of the fastest come-ups in that division ever. How have you managed it? How have you managed to stay healthy and just keep getting these fights?
Yeah, honestly, I give the glory to God. I've been saying it all over the place. I feel like, I just stayed the course, and even in the times where I was unsure and lost and confused of what was going on, I just stayed the course, put my faith in him, put my faith in what he was doing in my life, and put the faith in the fact that he gave me the ability to walk, talk, act, and be who I am. So that every morning I wake up with that type of attitude. I try to get after it every morning. I wake up with the attitude of I get to, not that I have to. And I think that that's played a big part in the come up. Each of these opportunities that I've been awarded have been huge opportunities, but I've been able to step into them because I've been doing the work that it would take to be ready for those opportunities. Even though the opportunities weren't even presented, I was already doing the work. So I feel like that plays a big part in the storyline.
At the start of your fight versus Jonathan Martinez, I don't know if you noticed, but the cutman was shouting into the octagon saying he wasn't happy with his toenails. Did you know what was going on?
I heard it. I was like, bro, we're not gonna mess with this guy's toenail. I was like, I don't care. When I thought about it, I was like, all right, well, I wasn't planning on letting them hit me with the toenails anyways. That wasn't the plan. So I was like hoping that they wouldn't do that. I'm like, he's ready, I'm ready, bro. Like, let's get this thing going. But thankfully, Herb Dean was like, man, I don't care about that, bro. I'm not doing this right now. What are you talking about? And they let it go. So
So
it's
yeah,
crazy.
back to that, the kicking and stuff. Did you feel it during the fight, or was it more like an after thing? Because
Oh
there's
no.
one time I felt the kick in the fight, and I was like, damn, that kind of hurt.
Yeah, bro. So there was two kicks that he had particular, and those are the ones where I was like, the other ones, like a lot of the other ones I didn't really hurt. All the ones in the first round didn't really hurt. Then he caught me at 3 minutes in the second round one, and I played it off pretty cool. But that one was like, oh, that was pretty good. Then he caught me at one at the end of the second round. That was like, yeah, that one was on the same spot.
I
And
saw that
then
little limp
yeah,
back to
yeah,
the corner.
and then everything after that was like, yeah, man, these things don't feel good. But honestly, it wasn't the pain that was killing me. It was just the fact that like I just am aware of the fact that like our bodies function this way. So I was like, man, it's damaged. I'm not gonna be able to fight like I need to fight on it if I keep playing, if I let it get kicked again. So that was more my mentality than the pain. Even now, and it's not necessarily the pain that's been the problem. It's just that he hit it. It's been proven. He kills people's legs, dude. He has a hard kick, and then I think the one thing that gets lost in transition is the accuracy of the kick. He landed it on the right spot.
Is there anyone that do you think that helped you the most this camp that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, absolutely. Mario Bautista, like, is my guy. It's so funny. People like be like, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan. You should fight Mario Bautista." I'm like, "Yep, you just proved to me that you're not my fan." Like Mario Bautista is my guy, bro. Me and that boy, you know what I'm saying? Like him, Kyler Phillips, like it's like anybody who says anything like that, I'm like, bro, you guys don't like. You obviously don't know. I've been with these guys long before I was even in the UFC, before I was pro. So Mario helped me out a ton. Jose Delgado helped me out a ton. We got this kid named Miguel. He came through. He just started with us too. He's young, getting started. He's a good southpaw. He helped me out with cage rounds as well. And then just the rest of my team. Abdul Kamara, for sure. Vinny. We got Vinny as well. Bobby. So many guys that were around. Ezra Elliott. So many of these guys that literally we just been picking each other's minds throughout the last few years, just giving back to each other and the exchange of skills. So I have to give it to my whole team, man. Every single one of them. Jared Cannonier, all those guys.
And also, me and my co-host we were just talking about it. Did you get any inspiration from McGregor?
It was that lead uppercut. It was like, fuck, he looks like McGregor here. This was sick.
Man, I really do like that, and I really try to take, kind of like Bruce Lee said, take what is useful to you and then add it to your skill set, right? And I try to do those things. There's a lot of things that Conor McGregor does, like that crescent kick. Again, he has a side crescent kick that he throws too, or side hook kick that he throws that I actually do pretty well. Obviously, I didn't throw any of them. That spinning kick on the southpaw side, he throws very well. I didn't throw it either. That left hook, or excuse me, that left straight, and then he starts to set it up with a left uppercut, right hook. So I do like Connor a lot, but like same thing. TJ Dillashaw is always one of those guys I looked up to as well. I like Josh Emmett a lot. So many great guys, and Ben Henderson. He does a really good job on that with that southpaw uppercut too. Like lunging in for that southpaw uppercut. So I like that shot a lot. I like it off the orthodox side too.
So I don't know if you've had time or you've rewatched the fight yet. Joe Rogan and the commentary team were joking about how built you were and how you are a big guy for the bantamweight division. And they actually at one point said, "Does he have elbow muscles?" How much do you value the S&C part of your game?
Very much, and honestly, I teamed up with Built Better I want to say last August, and I feel like I was already a bigger guy for the weight class. but they turned me into a whole new unit, honestly. That just the strength program that they put together for me, the mobility program they put together for me, and then I already have a great strength and conditioning coach, Jared Ike, over at the MMA lab, who puts all that work that we put in at Built Better to the test. So I don't think people realize, like, I do 4 days a week the strength and conditioning on top of my regular training. So I'm training 6 days a week. I'm busting my butt to make sure that I'm in the best top shape that I can be. So that's where it comes from, man. Like, I really put in that work. I feel like sometimes we get relaxed in certain areas, but I'm training 2 or 3 times a day, 6 days a week, inside of camp and outside of camp.
Camp shit only. It's showing, man. It's showing.
I'm
I already
trying.
know this guy always worked in silent. I went to the MMA lab for a little bit, and you just seen him always staying a little bit after practice. You always are trying to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
I
good
try.
to
I
see.
appreciate
Yeah.
it, man. I appreciate it. That's one of the things I try to just do. Like, give everything I can to it while I have it. And it's not easy because we want to get out of practice and just get up out of there, man. But man, I just be like, all right, man. I'll give that little extra. I'll give that little extra. One more penny in the bank. Maybe that penny will end up being something. And maybe it won't, but at least I'll know I'll put the penny in there.
Yeah, I mean, eventually that motherfucker gonna add up.
So you're now ranked number 14 in the division. Is there a specific name you want next? Like the UFC always love a name.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, there's so many names, man. Me and Eamon were already scheduled to fight, so he's number 13 now, apparently. So I mean, that's the fight that makes sense. I had said it, between all the beef that happened between Mario and Aldo, and how everybody was hating on Mario for Aldo, I could assume that they'd put my name up for that fight too. So I could see them trying to do that. But again, he's a legend, so it's like I'm 4 fights in. Does that even make sense? People were calling out. Some people were like, "Oh, do you want to take revenge on Rob Font for Kyler?" I'm like, "Whoa, like, no revenge." But yeah, I mean, all the names make sense to me, man. I'm
I would
honestly not
love to see
against
you beat up
anybody.
Henry. I don't care. I love to see you punch that motherfucker in
Yo,
the face.
that's so funny because Henry Cejudo,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
So
sorry.
people
That's
call
the
that's what
fight
some
that
people
needs
are
to
saying
happen.
too.
Marcus McGhee versus Henry Cejudo. Sign me up. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
That's funny, bro. Because yeah, honestly, people were calling it saying Henry Cejudo too. So like for me, man, there's not a name that I'm not like I want anybody. I want to fight. I want to perform. I want to test myself against the best guys. And all of those guys mark every one of those boxes. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like whatever the UFC wants to do next, I'll be pretty much game.
And well, brother, that's all for us. Shout out to social media. Anyone else you want to shout out? Let the fans know. You got any charities or anything that you like to mention? Here's your time.
Yeah, thank you, man. Shout out to my team, MMA Lab. Shout out to Built Better. Shout out to Core Chiropractic out here, Eminent Wellness out here. Shout out to my nutritionist, Ancient Tarian. Yeah, shout out to my whole squad, man. Shout out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for keeping me strong and keeping me moving through all this. Shout out to my family, my wife and kids for being my rock, man. And honestly, I don't have too many charities going on right now, but that's my next step for sure. I'm gonna be jumping in, doing some Thanksgiving, the food giveaways and stuff like that over at the church and everything. But that is my next mission. So you even saying that you just kept me honest, man. Keeping me honest. I need to get into that, bro. I love what you're doing
Hell
out
yeah, hell
there.
yeah. And any places they can get your merch for the fans because you're the big deal, man. Any place we can get your merch to support.
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram, if you go on my Instagram, it's in my link tree. Mental Joe Apparel. Me and them have linked up. I got some pretty cool designs with them. I got about 7 shirts, maybe 3 hats, and I'm gonna keep on adding to that though. So my Instagram, Maniac McGhee, MMA, Maniac_McGhee MMA, or my Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well. Same thing, Maniac McGhee '07. So check it out. But yeah, you can find my store or go to my website, and then my website's maniacmcgee.com, and on my website you can find the store as well. So you can find any of my apparel on there.
Awesome, you guys. You guys heard it. Thank you for your time, brother. And the sky's
Thank
the
you,
limit. See
brother.
you at the top.
Okay, cheers,
Yes,
Marcus.
sir. Let's go.
Yes,
Let's
sir. Let's
go. Thanks
go.
for having me on, man.
My pleasure.